Good gardening morning, backyard beekeepers. So, I had this bright idea that I might start in box one instead of, which is the bottom box, rather than box two, the upper box. Thinking that I might be able to get in there and see what's going on because they've just been quite unhappy over the last few weeks. And while I thought this was a good idea, well, even good ideas sometimes don't work. Now, one of the interesting things is that these bees, which were so gentle, except for the day I brought them home because they rode in the trunk for a while, um, have turned quite I don't want to say vicious, but they're just not happy. They're perturbed. Now, I thought, okay, I'll smoke them real good and everything will be great. I'll go ahead and not start with the end frame because that one has always had problems, and every time I take it out, they all got upset. So I'll start on the frame kind of where I saw something last time or right next to it. And well, initially the smoke chased them away. It didn't keep them away. Now, the good news is I didn't get stung today, but they were coming after me. So, when we finally get this frame out, it took a while, and the bees came back up out of the hive, and you can see them congregating there at the top, and they are just congregating. I reach in, I smoke them occasionally, I put them back in. As soon as I put the smoker down, they come over. Now, I do manage to get this frame up and look at it, and I did look on the sides of this frame, but nothing looked out of ordinary. But I also wasn't going to disturb them more because you can see at this point now the smoke isn't doing anything. They're just like, oh yeah, well, you're messing with our frame and we're not going anywhere. Smoke us, just smoke us. I dare you to smoke us. And even though I smoked them, they stayed right where they wanted to stay. And you can see I'm definitely giving them smoke. Maybe I wasn't getting the smoke close enough, but I didn't want to hurt the little things. I guess the smoke doesn't necessarily hurt them, but I was even coughing from this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how you can handle this, how you can keep with all the smoke. But you can see it just really didn't do anything, at least at this point. So I pull this frame out, and it is a heavy frame. And at this point, you can see they just go a little crazy. Frame looked good. I was going to put it over here and I was going to attempt another one, but you can see how much more of the bees decided to come up out of the hive. And they were already saying, we don't really care about the smoke, and after this, they really were like, no, put the frame back in or we're going to come get you. It's very interesting because I know that some of them actually did try to sting me on my gloves, and luckily this time it didn't go through the glove, but I could tell that they were just not happy. And this is the point where I visually inspected the other two frames, or one side of the other two frames, just from the top of the hive, and you can see how quickly they just come back up to the top of the hive after I put the smoker down. So this is the point where I decided, let's just put this back in and leave them alone today. And even as I go to put it in, you can see the amount of activity that just increases right away. Especially if you compare the activity on that bottom box to the first 5 frames of the top box that you can see in the at the foreground there. You can see that that bottom box, whatever's going on, it's really making them perturbed. They're just not happy. Now I want to put this top box back on, but I don't want to smush them. And to be honest, I just kind of put it on the best I could. And then I went ahead and inspected the top box. You can see this frame number 1, didn't have any additional comb building on it yet, and that's okay. Frame 2 did. You can see the comb being built out. Frame 3 really building comb out and putting nectar in. Frame 4, you can see some honey that was capped, some brood. Frame 5, this was one from the bottom box, looks good. Frame 6, you can see they've done a really good job on building this one out. Frame 7, again building comb, putting in nectar. This frame, they're starting to build out comb on that inner side of that sheet. Next frame, no activity yet, no building. Again, no building on the last one. That means that 3 frames have no building on them, so I'm thinking, depending on how they look next week, I may add a honey super on top of this. Now I want you to get an idea of just how active these guys are, and they sound different, so I'm going to let you listen. Have a wonderful week full of bountiful blossoms and blessings.